I am so excited for all the new books this year is gonna bring. But before we do that, I still got a bone to pick with 2023. Yeah, that's right. I'm pulling up my sleeves, I'm bringing out the big guns. So today we're going through all the books that I absolutely loathed in 2023. I will preface this by saying, if any of these books are some of the books that you love, I am happy for you. I love that the book community allows people to have different likes and different interests, but I am not going to sugarcoat any of my opinions just because you like a certain book. If you don't love any of the books that I love, I would want to hear why and I would want to have that discussion. I think it's really nice that we all have different opinions. So before you beat me up in the comments, if you like any of these books, I'm really happy for you, but I am not going to censor or change any of my opinions just to placate people like that. So there's that intro. Get that out of the way. Now let's get started. I think it'd be fun if we go into the order from least atrocious to absolutely loathed. If you're not new here, you probably know what number 1 is, but let's just pretend like we don't know anyway. Number 5 on the list is Exit West. I think that this one ended up on my poo list this year because I really had high hopes for it. Just listen to the synopsis. It's about this kid. He lives in a war-torn country. It's poverty-stricken and he's just trying to make it every day. But his family is a little bit more well-off than everyone around him. So he has a house, he has his mom and his dad, everything. And he meets this girl at school and he ends up falling in love with her. But they're also going through this really tumultuous time in their country, so they can't really like focus on their new budding romance because they're trying to survive every day. But around the world, these doors start opening that allow you to get to other countries to find safety. So that synopsis alone sounds so amazing, sounds so exciting. There was so much potential here, so much potential. And I just felt like it was squandered. I don't know what happened, but like there was no real plot, nothing really happened. It felt like we were going through their day with them and that was pretty much it. There was no resolution, there was no real like discovery, self-discovery, self-growth, like adventure. It just fell so flat for me and I was beyond disappointed because in the first few chapters, I was really sure that this was going to be a 5-star read. I knew it. I loved how he was talking. I loved how he was writing, but the entire book felt like he was building up to this crazy, amazing story. This whole book felt like the intro to an amazing adventure and then just never got there. Nothing ever happened. And I was just like, dang. It had the potential to be so wonderful and it just fell so flat for me. So Exit West, yeah, we're gonna exit this conversation. I did end up giving it 2 out of 5 stars only because again, I really thought it was gonna be so good in the beginning and then it just fell flat. So because of the potential that was there, I gave it 2 stars instead of 1. But if we didn't count that, it'd probably be a 1 star. The next one up is Normal People. This is a book I have realized that people either love and think are absolutely incredible, or they hate and think it's absolutely ridiculous. And guess what party I'm in? I get what Sally Rooney was trying to do. Truly, I do. Truly, honestly, I get what she was trying to do. And you know what? Even though a lot of people hate like the grammar thing, how there's no spacing, there's no, I don't know, it feels like one long run-on sentence. I didn't even necessarily hate that so much. What I hated was the lack of purpose. There was no plot, there was no, and some people enjoy those kind of books. Some people enjoy like slice of life kind of books. And I just am realizing that I am not one of those people. I need a purpose. I need a beginning, middle, and end. I need to know what we're talking about, why we're talking about it type of thing. And even if there's not like a concrete plot in that way, as long as I feel like I could take something away, I learned something, we went on a journey of some sort, then I'm good. Baby, there was nothing like that in here. Nothing. This story follows 2 young people, Connell and Marianne, and they just have a toxic relationship from the start. They are like high school, not even sweethearts. Like he uses her for sex and just emotional support. He doesn't even want to talk to her when he's in school, and they grow up together too. So then when they go to different colleges, they still talk to each other and they're still like always kind of interlinked in their life, but it's never in a healthy way. It's never, I don't know. And I get that that was a point that she was trying to make, that, you know, some relationships aren't worth harboring or like fostering, but then there was no like resolution to it. There was no end goal. It felt like, it just felt like we were just watching 2 people F each other over. Like that's it. There was nothing else. I did not learn a single thing except the fact that I hated this book. That was all. It just was such a waste of time to me. But you know what? I respect it because it wasn't long, because I found that a lot of the bad books are usually a lot longer. So I appreciate that it wasn't super long. But that was it. I felt really bad for Marianne. You know, she has absolutely no self-worth whatsoever, and it was because of how she was brought up, which I understand. But I get cautious about these kind of books because I don't want young kids or people who are susceptible to this type of message to think that this is okay, because it's not. She got treated like poo water from her family as well as this little boy, and I just didn't appreciate it. And then she had other relationships, and it just was like, dang, I was like, Marianne, girl, are you okay? Blink twice if you need me to jump in this book. I was worried about her. And then Connell, he was just, I don't know. I just did not enjoy these characters. I couldn't connect with them. Even though I felt bad for Marianne, I wasn't like protective over her. I was just like, dang, girl, that's crazy. Anyway, you know what I mean? Like, I just was not super connected to this story. It was just so lackluster for me. And I'm really disappointed because so many people raved about this book. Like, raved about this book. And I just didn't get it. It wasn't my cup of tea. Sorry. The next ones up are by Liz Tom Ford. I do not have the physical copy, thank God, because I read them on my Kindle. But I read Mile High as well as The Right Move, because initially I read The Right Move, right? And I talked about how garbage that book was. And then everyone's like, okay, try her second book. Maybe you didn't like Right Move, but try her second book, which was Mile High, and it's technically the first book, and then The Right Move is the second book. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna give y'all a chance. Maybe there's something I'm missing. So then I read Mile High, and Mile High was far worse than The Right Move. Not far worse, they're both trash in my opinion, but like Mile High was worse than The Right Move, laughably so. And I'm not gonna get into it because I literally ranted for 10 minutes just on this one book in my last video. I'll link it down below. But I went in on this book, and I still stand by it. I still stand by every single thing I said. This is a 2-for-1 because it's kind of the same author, it's the same like series. So I'm technically talking about Mile High, but we could just go ahead and throw The Right Move into it too, because that was all just laughably bad. What? Laughably bad. Laughably blah, blah, blah. I can't say that. Laughably bad. Laughably bad. There. It was laughably bad. Let me just say this again for the people in the back who didn't hear me the first time. Liz Tom Ford is fighting for the right things. Mental health, body positivity, knowing your worth, getting a man that knows your worth. All of those things. She is fighting for the right things. But how she is fighting is what I got a problem with. Because girl, what are we talking about? First of all, the banter, the commentary, the back and forth, whatever you want to call it, is so juvenile. It's so unbelievably cringy. I'm sorry, this book just brings out the worst in me. It's just like, what are we? I would never say a single one of these lines in real life ever. Ever. Like, never. It's so embarrassing. While I was reading them, audibly out loud, she wasn't even trying to make a joke. I was laughing, cackling. Like Mojo Jojo, the evil character laugh. I was laughing like that because I was just like, there's no way. Liz was at her computer typing the things that I am writing. There's just no way. She was like, yeah, this is the line. Like, what? Hello? Liz, wake up. Nobody talks like that in real life. It was just so unbelievably, laughably cringy. Like, I just couldn't understand. And it wasn't just a one-off thing. It wasn't just The Right Move. It wasn't just Mile High. No, both of those books were just as bad as each other. But the reason why Mile High was even worse for me is because both of these main characters were supposed to be Black main characters. And as I said before, there is nothing wrong with Liz Tom Ford being a white woman writing Black characters if you do it the right way. And she did not. She made one reference to Stevie's skin, which is the main character, the female main character, being brown. And then she mentioned her hair 2 or 3 times, but not even the right way. She did no research on it. She did not know how to take care of curly hair. She couldn't say like little things that every Black girl knows or everyone who has curly hair knows, just to show that, you know what, there's a little bit of representation here. You can see yourself in this. No, the line that got me was when she was talking about how, oh my God, I haven't washed my hair in 5 days. It's so dirt. Huh? What? You don't wash your hair every day when you have curly hair. That's like an easy no-brainer too. You talk to one person with a little more melanin than you and you would get that answer. So that just shows me she did no research. She didn't care enough to put in the actual research to do something like this. If you're not a part of this culture, no matter who you're talking about, you need to give them the due respect enough to do the proper research. I'm not saying spend 6 months learning about the culture that you're not a part of, even though I think that would be pretty good. No, I'm just saying, like, do a little research, just a little bit. Like, that was surface level, so easy. You have one black friend and you know a little bit about curly hair. Like, I don't think she put any real thought into it. I think she just thought, what haven't I done in a while? Black main characters. And just started typing. Like, that's genuinely how it felt. I had no idea that the male main character was supposed to be black too until I looked up the character art and then realized he's not just a white guy with tan. He's actually black. That's insane. Like, books already don't have pictures, usually. So you have to give that descriptive language so that we as the reader understand the narrative you're trying to portray, the character, the culture you're trying to portray. There was no cultural references. There were no references, period. But those 3 things that I mentioned before, that is egregious to me. You cannot do something or talk about a certain group of people that you are not directly related to without doing the due diligence of basic research. I'm sorry. I just think that's the common courtesy, the bottom baseline, like the bars on the floor type of requirement for a book like that. And she just did not do it. On top of the book being over smutty, on top of the book not really being realistic. Like, even if a book is not realistic, that's okay, as long as it's well written. These books are not well written, and that's just, there's no way around it. She is not a good writer. I'm sorry. There's nothing else I can say. There's no way to sugarcoat it, and I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. She's not a good writer. I'm sorry. Fight with yourself. If you like these books, I'm happy for you, but they were poo water. I'm sorry. I still love you though. Like and subscribe. Next up on the list is Our Favorite Guest by a Thread by Lucy Score. Now, I will say, after some thought, after some reflection, I do believe the Liz Tom Ford books are worse than this.
Oh my God! Wow!
I know, girl, trust me. I did not expect to be thinking this, but here we are. Those books got me so tight. I just couldn't believe. Not only the dialogue and stuff, but like, it was just so bad. It was so bad. This was at least a little bit more enjoyable. I will still stand by what I said. It's like 500 pages of smut and only 100 pages of an actual plot. And it did not have to be this freaking long. She could have cut this book in half and it still would have been too long, personally. But I understand why some people like it. This is a story about Allie and Dominic. It's a grumpy sunshine situation. She ends up working at his company and then he falls in love with her, but he doesn't want to fall in love with her. He thinks she's like super annoying, but then they get to know each other and obviously, you know, they end up together, okay? And that happens maybe here. So what was all of this for? Huh, Lucy? What was all of this for? It was just the same thing over and over and over again. But I'm not a quitter. My problem is I don't know when to call it quits. I don't know when to wave the white flag. No, I am so unbelievably stubborn. I know this about myself. I know. We'll call it how we see it. I am so unbelievably stubborn that I will literally make myself miserable and finish something even if I don't like it. That can be a book, that can be a movie, that can be a show. I am just a finisher. I don't know why. I hate it so much, but that is the absolute truth. And that is what happened to me with this book. Around here, I was done. We could have pulled the credits, pulled the curtains, and I would have been good. But I continued to read all the way into the very end. And I was miserable the entire time. The first few pages, I would say like the first 100 pages, I really thought this was gonna be a good book. I was like, yeah, this is cute. They got this little banter thing going on. But then it was the same smut over and over and over again. And there were so many other factors that we were supposed to be worried about. And she was just so worried about this little man. And I'm just like, girl, where's your dad? Is your dad still not, like, is he okay? Sorry, I don't wanna spoil too much, but is your dad okay? Like, I do not care about your bedroom. Lucy, where's her dad? Oh my God, it was driving me nuts. This book drove me nuts. I think the reason why I still rank it number 2 is because of how long. It was unbelievably torturous for me. Like, it really could have ended here. If it ended here, I would still probably not like it, but it wouldn't be number 2 on this list. But it just kept going, like over and over again. I know she had to have read this back and was like, we don't really need that. And she kept it. Like, Hello? This did not have to be 600 pages. It just didn't. It just didn't. And I stand by my rating. Now, last but certainly not least, now I can finally go in on this book. Oh, I've been waiting, child. This book literally almost took me out. I know you know it. I know you know what I'm about to talk about, and I'm ready. This book right here, the worst book I've ever read in my life. Listen to me. Look me in my eyeballs. This is the worst book I've ever read in my entire life. Listen to me! Do not pick it up if you value your sanity. Do not read this book. Just don't. You know what I did when I finished this book before I show you? When I finished this book, I literally threw it out. I was so unbelievably frustrated. It's not even a long book, and it took me almost 3 months to read because it was that bad. It was that bad. Let me go get it. I don't even know where to start with American Psycho. I don't, because it almost unraveled me. Mentally, I am scarred, but we knew that was gonna happen. But also mentally, I am unwell. I am unwell after this book. I am flabbergasted. I cannot believe this is considered a classic. Everyone loves this book. I cannot believe it. If anyone tells me that they love this book, immediately I'm calling the cops. Immediately I'm calling authorities, because there's no way you're not a serial killer. I'm sorry. Someone had to say it. There's no way. Now, I will say, I understand what he was trying to do. This is about the all-American man. He is a white, wealthy man in America living in New York City and working on Wall Street. Understand what they were trying to say. I know this author, Ellis, whatever, his first, I think it's Brent. Yeah, because I looked him up. I had to make sure he wasn't a, you know. And the way he was throwing around that N-word, someone better check his old tweets, because I don't know. Ain't no way he's not a hard R person. Ain't no way. Anyway, I understand what he was trying to do. He was trying to shine a light on what was wrong with America, right? And I understand that. But the execution was unbelievably bad. Unbelievably bad. You couldn't even tell that that was what he was supposed to do. And I'm guessing, like, personally, this is how I feel. I think in the interim, after he published this book, he was probably like, oh dang, maybe I went a little too hard. Yeah, this is supposed to show how bad Wall Street is and how bad white corporate America is. I think people get confused when I say how much I hate this book, and they think it's because of the gore and things like that, the murders. Because yes, the murders are absolutely unbelievably gory and detailed and just horrendous. But that is not why I dislike this book so much. It was truly the execution. If it had all of those same murders in the same exact detail and it was done in a better way, I would probably enjoy this book. I probably wouldn't be able to read it again because of the murders, but I would understand where it was coming from and appreciate it and respect it for what it was. But I can't even give him that. Like, this entire book is kind of just you being a fly on the wall, seeing his daily life, right? There's no plot whatsoever. The plot cannot be found. You thought Exit West was bad. You thought Normal People was bad. Baby, there's absolutely no inkling of a plot in this book. You do the same thing over and over every single day. Wash and repeat, wash and repeat. You get up, you talk about how expensive your clothes are, you talk about how attractive you are, you work out for 2 hours, you go sexualize every woman that you see, you murder a few of them, you even murder and harass some homeless people, and then you go to work and then you do it all over again, and then you go to a fancy restaurant with people you absolutely loathe over and over and over again. That same scenario was in the book at least 30 to 50 times. That's all the book was. Every day, getting up, getting dressed, going to work, murdering people, going to dinner with people you hate, murdering more people, going to bed, wake up, do the same thing. Like, literally, that's all it was. Every single chapter, every single page. And I'm like, oh my God, do me next, murder me next, because I cannot get through this book. It is just so unbelievably bad. But like I said, I am a finisher. I don't know when to stop. This book took me 3 months to read. I can read a book in a week, but I could not I could not pick up this book. It was literally like torture. In the end, it really just came off as like a salacious, attention-grabbing book. Like they wanted to say the worst, most vile things to grab your attention, and that's why everyone thinks it's such an incredible book, because he said the worst of the worst things. But if you're the only book in this category that's willing to say something like this, especially in the time that it was written, because I think it was written in the 90s, of course it's going to be revered as like one of the best books, because you're the only one in the category. If you're the only one running this race, you're the only one that can be a winner. But it is not a good book. And if it was categorized or like compared to other books, it would fall embarrassingly short. It was just such a bad book, comically bad, but it was so sick that I could not laugh. It was just so ridiculous. To display the racism, elitism, and just whitewashing of America, he could have done all of that in such an incredible way. He could have taken a different approach to this and still have those very detailed, very gory murder scenes, but have an actual point to the book. There was no point. It ended as it began. There was nothing that I learned from this, except that I hate this author and will never read anything else from him. It was just a joke of a book, a joke of a book. Literally the worst book I've ever read in my entire life. How was this still revered as a good book? I don't know. I don't know. So if you read this book and you think it's a good book, well, congratulations, you diagnose yourself. You may be a potential serial killer, because there's no way you can think that this is a good book. I'm sorry. I had to say it. Someone had to say it. Wake up. It is not a good book. And I stand by that. Now, those are all the books that traumatized me in 2023. Let's hope that 2024 is a better year, and this list is much shorter at the end of 2024. So thank you so much for watching. I love you mucho, and I'll see you in the next video. Mwah. There's a song that's playing in my head right now. Some. If you were in here, you'd be having a good time. Love you, bye.